All right, let's dive right into something many of us do every day, reading. Sometimes it's pure joy. Sometimes maybe there's a bit of pressure there. You sent over some fascinating sources looking into this and asking, well, does how you read matter as much as what you read? Like, does slowing down actually do something for us?
That's exactly the core question here. Yeah. We've got some really interesting material that explores this tension lots of readers probably feel, wanting to just get lost in a book.
Yeah, totally immersed.
Exactly. Versus that maybe modern impulse to read fast, get through the pile, maybe even, keep track of how many books you finish.
Right.
So our mission for this deep dive is really to unpack what these sources say about why we feel that push and pull and what reading pace might actually mean for comprehension, memory, the whole experience, really.
Okay, so let's unpack that first big idea the source material talks about, this dual mentality of a reader, which feels super relatable. On one side, you've got that deep love for just sinking into, right? Letting the book take you somewhere else, seeing it all in your head.
Yeah, that pure escapism, getting lost in the story.
Yeah.
But like you said, the sources point out how that often clashes with another feeling. And it's not usually about competing with others, apparently.
Oh, interesting.
It's more from just loving stories so much, this ferocious need to consume, as they put it. Feeling so excited to read that I can't slow down because, there are so many other books waiting.
Huh. Yeah, the ever-growing TBR pile. It's like your passion for reading is almost fighting against savoring the current.
Exactly. And the examples they give really show this, like reading I'm Glad My Mom Died really slowly, deliberately.
Okay.
Which apparently led to these super in-depth chats with people, going over tiny details, little throwaway lines even. You're processing it all.
Wow. Okay, so that slow pace allowed for real depth.
Right. Deep engagement, better attention maybe, enough to really discuss specifics. But then contrast that with reading, say, A Wisdom of Crowds' end of a trilogy.
Ah, okay. High stakes.
Yeah. And the source says they just devoured it. Super fast. Gripped by the plot, that desperate desire to know what happens next.
Oh, I definitely know that feeling. Just needing the ending now.
Totally. We've all been there. But the source points out the trade-off. Reading that ferociously probably meant some of the finer details got missed.
Right.
Couldn't maybe recall them later or discuss them with the same level of detail.
Right.
So that tension speed versus detail, consumption versus immersion, that's like a central theme here.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Looking at the research the sources mention, we kind of know reading is great for stress relief.
Oh, yeah. Phenomenal.
The sources even say it's more so than nearly any other hobby, which is huge.
It really is. And here's a key bit from the studies they looked at. There's evidence indicating that reading more slowly might actually cut down stress more effectively.
Yeah.
And maybe even more quickly.
Wait, hang on. Slower is faster or more effective? That feels a bit upside down, doesn't it?
It does seem counterintuitive at first glance, but the sources, they dig into research, including this one 31-page article, apparently, looking at how we think the brain works, how it learns, holds on to information.
Okay.
Now, they're careful to add the usual caveat,
No.
Our understanding of the mind isn't complete. The source mentions research suggests specifically because we don't understand the mind at this point. Everything in research has caveats. So, grain of salt.
Right. Science is always evolving. But what do these studies suggest might be happening when we speed up or slow down our reading?
Well, they heavily suggest that a lot of those common speed reading tricks, the ones pushing you to read more quickly than your mind would naturally read, they might actually mess with how the brain normally processes things.
How so?
The source uses phrases like potentially breaking down reading comprehension, hindering actual retention of information, reducing immersion.
Ah, okay. So it's not just about scanning words faster. It's like the brain needs that processing time to connect the dots, build the mental picture, link it to what you already know.
Precisely. That seems to be the idea. By trying to shortcut those natural steps for the sake of speed, you might be sacrificing the depth of understanding and maybe how well you actually remember it long term.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And the Force author even shares a personal bit. They apparently made a video about speed reading way back when.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but now they barely use those techniques. Found it wrecked the immersion, hurt comprehension, only uses them now to power through like really boring bits they just need to finish.
Huh, fascinating. So the brain needs time to build the house, not just glance at the blueprints. To use that analogy we'll get to.
Exactly. Move too fast, you might just get the floor plan. You don't really get to, live in the space.
Okay, switching gears slightly. Reading's become way more social, hasn't it? Especially online. Goodreads, Book Talk.
Oh, definitely.
And the sources touch on how this can sometimes lead to comparing ourselves. This whole numbers game, people sharing stats, how many books, how many pages.
It is so easy to fall into that, isn't it? But the sources offer a good perspective check here. They point out that reading speed, it's actually not the biggest factor in how much you read over time.
Oh.
What is it?
Consistency, just doing it regularly.
Okay. That makes sense. Just showing up.
Exactly. They break it down simply. Read just 10 pages a day. That's still 3,650 pages a year.
Wow.
Read 30 pages a day. That's almost 11,000 pages and 50 pages daily. You're looking at a massive 18,250 pages.
That really puts it in perspective. So even if you read slowly, but you do it consistently, you're still getting through a ton of material.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The source really hammers that home. Reading slowly, methodically doesn't mean you read fewer books overall. It's the habit.
Right.
Plus, they make another great point. Some books just take longer.
Yeah.
You know, a dense classic with old language or some epic fantasy with a million characters and places.
Totally different from, say, a quick romance or an easy nonfiction read.
Exactly. And it's not about quality or how good a reader you are. They're just different beasts.
You really can't compare finishing, I don't know, War and Peace to finishing a light beach read in the same.
Not at all. And then there's the fact that people are different, too. Some folks just naturally read faster. Practice helps. The source notes that.
But there's natural variation.
Yeah. And everyone has different lives, right? Different amounts of free time. The source author mentions reading like 2-3 hours a day.
Whoa, okay. That's a lot.
It's a luxury most people don't have. Plus, other hobbies, family, work.
Yeah.
It all competes for time. So trying to stack your numbers up against someone else's, the source basically says it's just not reasonable.
That's actually quite liberating to hear. Focus on consistency, forget the comparison.
Pretty much.
Okay, let's circle back to the feelings, the emotional side of it. The sources really stress that for the author, a massive part of reading's value is that immersion, that emotional connection.
Yeah, that feeling of being truly taken somewhere else. The book taking me to another place, experiencing so much with it. It's powerful.
And they use this brilliant analogy for it, the author of the book. They give you the floor plan.
Okay.
The basic structure, plot, characters. But you, the reader, you're the one building the walls, picking the color of paint, filling in the corners.
Oh, I love that. It really captures how active reading is, doesn't it? It's creative.
Totally. Everyone gets the same words, but based on your own worldview or life experiences, you build that world in your head in a unique way.
You see different things, emphasize different bits, connect with characters based on your own life. Everyone gets something slightly different out of the same book.
And for this particular source author, it seems reading slowly really enhances that personal construction. It gives them a different something from the books, a really special experience that comes from having the time to properly build out that world the author sketched.
Yeah, it lets that internal building process happen more fully. Perhaps more deep.
You know, this whole discussion about reading pace, it feels like it plugs into this much bigger conversation that's happening everywhere now about slowing down.
Oh, definitely.
Our lives are just so fast-paced, aren't they? Social media, the internet, work demands, constant input.
Yes, and there's this growing appreciation for things that don't need constant external noise. Activities with their own sort of slow cadence.
Like what?
Well, the sources give examples like going for a walk but without headphones, no podcasts, or cleaning the house without music blasting, or just eating a meal without watching TV.
Just being present with the thing itself.
Exactly. Appreciating the rhythm of the activity and reading a book. It inherently takes time, right? It is a long-form activity.
Yeah, even a fast read takes longer than scrolling TikTok.
Right. Even if you're tearing through it, it still has a fundamentally slower rhythm compared to most modern media. And the source suggests there's something inherently special about that sustained focus.
It's like a built-in counterbalance to the speed of everything else.
Could be. And they're really clear. This isn't about attacking fast reading. Like if a story grabs you and you just want to fly through it, that can feel absolutely right for that book, that moment.
Yeah, sometimes that's the perfect experience.
Totally valid.
Yeah.
The point isn't to say there's one right way to read. It's more about reflecting on the value, what different kind of experience might reading slowly offer, especially when the world often pushes us to be faster, consume more, compare ourselves.
So no wrong way if you're enjoying it and getting something.
Exactly. It's about awareness of the options, maybe.
Okay, so we've taken this deep dive into the sources you brought, exploring that internal tug of war between devouring books and savoring them.
The dual mentality.
Looked at what the research hints at: speed, comprehension, maybe even stress level.
Yeah, the brain science side with all the caveats.
Considered the whole numbers game, comparison culture versus consistency.
Right, and how comparison isn't really helpful.
And finally, it touched on that really personal almost creative act of building the book's world inside your own head.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Our reading habits aren't just about finishing lists. They genuinely shape how we connect with stories and ideas, what we actually take away.
Which leads us to a final thought, something for you, the listener, to chew on. Given everything these sources suggest, the potential differences in immersion, memory, stress, does thinking about reading change what stands out about